Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official college football week number 10 best bets, where I deal out some of my best bets for the upcoming week. And guys, we begin, I believe this is a Wednesday night game in the MAC. It is Central Michigan at Northern Illinois. There is a significantly strong value, according to analytical models, in the over 55.5. Kind of funny, both of these teams, I know they both only have 2 wins, but when you look at the luck analytics and the overall ratings, they've been 2 of the most unlucky teams in college football. They can both put up points, so we are expecting this game to go over the 55.5. Originally, my weeknight game bet was Boston College plus 9.5, but apparently they have a quarterback injury, and I am done dealing with quarterback injuries. I'm not touching it. So originally I was like, I like Boston College plus the 9.5 at home, but I've changed it. Central Michigan at Northern Illinois. We're all in on the over 55.5. And that one, moving to the Saturday games, Ohio State minus the 38 at Northwestern. So I think Vegas really messed up. They should have started this line, in my opinion, at 39 or 40. Originally, this line opened at 36. It instantly got bet up to 38, and it's been hovering around 38 for the past 12 hours. It's a situation where you do have to wonder about Ohio State's overall ability to even want to be in this game, considering it's an 11 a.m. start on the road after a very emotional win. And we've seen Ohio State go through lapses against Rutgers, against Arkansas State earlier this year, where they really just look like they don't want to be there. But Northwestern is so bad. If Ohio State can get to 49 or 50, they've scored 44 points in 7 straight games. Northwestern's not going to be able to score. That is the main issue. Northwestern's one of the worst teams in Power 5. Even though this game's on the road, the only concern would be Ohio State coming off an emotional game, playing down. Once again, it is an 11 a.m. start time. But guys, Ohio State did not cover last week, which means they're due. And normally Ryan Day, when he doesn't cover one week, they do make sure they cover the next week. So it is a lot, minus 38, but I think they get it done and they cover. Number 3, Kentucky minus 2 at Missouri. So, kind of interesting here. Missouri gets that big win over South Carolina. They shut down South Carolina's offense. Kentucky looks terrible against Tennessee. Guys, I'm just going to write it off as an aberration game for Kentucky. I still believe they have a good overall team in terms of at least being able to play some solid defense and run the ball. Missouri does not have a good quarterback at all. Will Levis is going to be extremely motivated. He's playing for an NFL contract at this point. If he finishes the season strong, he could still be a project first-round pick. Kentucky is not going to ruin their season because they got blown out last week. They're going to come back. They're the better team. I know they're on the road. They're going to beat Missouri. Missouri's just not good enough. I know Missouri beat South Carolina, but South Carolina never should have been ranked, in my opinion, in the first place. Iowa at Purdue, we're going the under 43. So last week, we thought it was an auto lock. The Northwestern Iowa under 35, under 37, whatever. Iowa ends up scoring 33. I'm chalking that up to an aberration. I don't see that happening again. And Purdue really has had significant offensive struggles. Aiden O'Connell throws multiple interceptions. I think Iowa might be able to turn over Purdue in the red zone after a long drive, which will definitely help eat the clock and help get us this under. Purdue wins this game, but even if you're looking at a score like 26 to 17, actually, I think that is a total of 43. You're looking at a score like 24 to 17. Even then, the under is hitting. I don't know if Iowa's going to be that competitive. This game's got 20 to 17, 20 to 13 written all over it with a Purdue win. They still are going to be motivated. In the West, they've still got a chance. They're just a game behind Illinois at this point. But I'll just take the under. I can't, because remember, guys, Iowa, Ohio State went over. Iowa, Northwestern went over. Do we really think that Iowa's going to be involved in 3 straight games that go over? You got to start thinking like that. I don't see it happening personally. Baylor at Oklahoma will take the over. I think there's great value. It's just 58. I understand Oklahoma's been this defensive team the last few weeks, but Baylor can score. It's a Big 12 matchup. It's a 3 o'clock start. I'm just liking the value. The fact that this number is below 60 And I understand why it's below 60 because Oklahoma's been better on defense lately. They had a bye week. Brett Venables is a defensive coach. Guys, we're talking about maybe even you get a 31-28 type game. The over is hitting in this. So both of these teams get to 30. It's an instant over. And this is a Big 12 matchup. Dylan Gabriel's good. Baylor's quarterback's going to move the ball. I like the over, the value play on the 58 after that number came down because of Oklahoma's defense. Next, we have La Tech plus the 2 at home versus Middle Tennessee State. So, guys, I went in on Middle Tennessee State last week in this exact same situation. They were plus 2 at home. They won outright. Well, now they're on the road. They're -2. I think this is a parity game. They're not going to keep covering these spreads. They're going to lose this game. Louisiana Tech is not a bad team. I like their offense. I will take Louisiana Tech to win this game outright, and I'll take them plus the 2. Number 7, Tennessee plus 9 at Georgia. So it just feels like too good value. I mean, Tennessee has been so good this year. I understand the models. I understand the analytics are going to say Georgia is rightfully a 9-point favorite. But this, game line is very similar, in my opinion, of the Tennessee-Alabama one, where Alabama was basically 7, 8, 9-point favorites, throughout the week. And it just felt like it was going to be a really close game. And it felt like Tennessee plus the 7 or 8 was stealing. It ended up working out. Maybe this could be a correction game. Maybe because Georgia's at home and Tennessee has to travel, it's going to be different. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel like Georgia's year, guys. I've said that from the beginning. Overall, Georgia, they don't have as explosive as an offense as Tennessee, so Tennessee could have a few really quick strike plays that could help them stay in this ball game. And this is potentially a 1v2 matchup, so I'm betting on it being a really thrilling, fun game, and I'll take the value in Tennessee plus the 9. Number 8, we've got Pittsburgh minus the 3.5 versus Syracuse. I hate that number. I hate minus 3.5, but Syracuse is so bad on offense. I have to take it. Pittsburgh lost to North Carolina, but their offense, they're running, they're passing. I think Pittsburgh has an above-average offense, both running and passing. Syracuse, on the other hand, below average at both. Pittsburgh's at home. Syracuse is still worse than their record. They should have more than 2 losses. They're going to lose this game, and it is an annoying number, 3.5. I would love to get it at 3 or 2.5, but sometimes you got to bite the bullet. Pittsburgh wins this game 34-20, in my opinion. Number 9, UAB plus 1.5 versus UTSA. UAB's got to show us something, guys. That was a disastrous performance last week. I was all in on UAB. They're going to come back, guys. They're due for a cover. They're going to win this game outright. UTSA is not bad. They received the top 25 vote in the AP poll, but UAB, they got that preseason hype. They're 4-4 right now. They're due for a win. They get the job done at home in a virtual pick'em game. Georgia Southern plus the 4 versus South Alabama. In my opinion, Georgia Southern is so much better on offense than South Alabama. They're also home. This is not good value because this line opened at 6.5. It's down to 4. I'm guessing it's going to get bet up to 5 or 5.5. Normally, that's how these lines tend to work. But to me, Georgia Southern, their offense is so much better than South Alabama's offense, and the fact that they're at home, I could very easily see them winning this game outright, and maybe this is a parity correction game. I believe South Alabama is 6-2, Georgia Southern is 5-3. Georgia Southern beats South Alabama. They have the same record, but I will say I do respect South Alabama. I understand they've got a really good defense. They've shut me up several times before. They just annihilated Arkansas State when I said Arkansas State was going to upset them, to give you guys a little perspective. So it's not been great with me in South Alabama, but South Alabama is due for a down performance in my opinion. Moving on to Louisiana plus the 6 versus Troy. So maybe a little bit of an overreaction line. Louisiana, very poor performance against Southern Miss, but it was on the road, and it was a weird game that involved multiple safeties that got away from them really early. I'm going to chalk that up to being an aberration, and I'm going to say a team like Troy, who's actually very similar to South Alabama, really good on defense, not great on offense. Louisiana is a solid team. They will be able to hang in this game. I don't know if they're going to win it, but Troy is just not explosive enough to cover a 6-point spread on the road against a solid overall team. That's why I find value in Louisiana plus the 6. Number 12, Alabama minus the 13 at LSU. So this line opened at 12. It's been bet up to 13. It feels like a Nick Saban statement. Alabama, they're not going to be in the top 4 of the playoff committee. They already have a loss. There's no margin for error. Alabama's been getting better on defense. They've got one of the most talented defenses in college football. Bryce Young is back. He's getting healthier coming off the bye week. And guys, LSU, in my opinion, Jane Daniels is playing better, but I'm just not seeing it this year for LSU football. I think they lose 4 games, and they're definitely going to lose this game to Alabama. So Bama, I know they're on the road, but I'll take them minus the 13 as a Nick Saban statement game in this one. South Carolina at Vandy, we're going the under 49, so I believe this is like a 7 o'clock game. South Carolina, very little offensive production last week. They're traveling to Vanderbilt. They have to be pretty down right now. There's not going to be a ton of motivation in this game. Vanderbilt, kind of meh as an offense and defensive team. Nothing special either way. They're obviously not a good Power 5 team. But I'm guessing this is going to be one of those cruddy games, maybe 27-20, where the under hits. Next, we've got Miami plus the 8.5 versus Florida State. So this is just me saying Miami needs something. It feels like they need something to happen. I know Florida State, and Travis, the quarterback, went crazy last week, but this is the 7:30 ABC game. Miami's at home. Maybe they get a little crowd help, although you got to cross your fingers on that with where they play and kind of that situation. But, Miami, I don't know if Tyler Van Dyke's going to play. Probably, you know what? With these quarterback injuries, I'm just going to assume he's not going to play. I'm going to assume Jake Garcia's playing. And Miami does enough to keep this game close. It's the battle. It's a Florida battle. I'll take Miami with the value plus the 8.5. Florida State, they're not horrible, but they're nothing special. I think Miami can hang in there with them plus 8.5. Number 15, UCLA at Arizona State. I love the over in this game. It's a pretty big number, or at least semi-big, 62. But I think UCLA gets into the 40s. Arizona State's a decent enough team to get into the mid-20s, and I just love the value. This game's on FS1. Normally, the FS1 games always tend to go over. So, yeah, that's a bet that I love, the over 62 there. And then we're going to end it on Fresno State minus the 23.5 versus Hawaii. So the situation surrounding this game, Fresno State gets their starting quarterback back, who's actually a legitimate NFL prospect. Hawaii is terrible. I also believe Hawaii's been covering spreads, which means they're due not to cover one. And I've got this game maybe at like 41-7. Fresno State is back to being a decent team with their starting quarterback, and they will cover. It's a pretty big spread. It's a late night spread. I will say it does seem to be a trend with these late night Mountain West games, the heavy favorites not covering. Although I do think Boise State covered against Colorado State. I don't know. But either way, I'll take Fresno State to cover. Hawaii is terrible. They're still horrible. I know they've won a few games. They've been close, whatever. Fresno State with their starting quarterback, they're going to crush Hawaii and win by 30 plus, in my opinion. So, guys, those are my top 10 best bets for college football week number 10. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. Happy Halloween.